Hello and welcome back to Gundam HQ. Today we'll be discussing a game series called Dynasty Warriors Gundam. Now for those of you who are not familiar with the franchise, it is exactly what I'm showing on the screen right now. It's Dynasty Warriors, a series famous for killing tons and tons of people in third-person style, and it's exactly that game except Gundam version, basically. Hence the name Dynasty Warriors Gundam. I think it's actually pretty good, but yeah, the game's kind of a hit or miss type of game because it's extremely repetitive after a little bit. Like, pretty much everyone can enjoy a couple levels of this at least, but then after a few they start to realize that it's really similar to what they've been doing before because the game is extremely repetitive, as I've said. But that's something that draws some people in, a select few anyways, because it's like, it's either, hey, this is alright, and you keep playing and you're like, oh, this is all it is, or you're like, hey, this is awesome, wait a minute, this is all it is? Sweet! And you're just freaking out and stuff because it's something you like. And yeah, it's just an iffy type game. Like I said, hit or miss, hit or miss. And I think it's actually pretty good, as I've said, because it has tons of suits, tons of characters, tons of cutscenes, and it's based mainly off of a select few TV shows. Like the newest one, Dynasty Warriors Gundam Reborn, has not roughly, 6 series, I believe. It has Gundam, the original, Zeta Gundam, Unicorn, Char's Counterattack, Seed, and Seed Destiny. And I think that is a pretty good selection. Considering Seed was my first Gundam series ever, I like seeing it in this game. And also, I really enjoyed the original. I really enjoyed Unicorn. I really enjoyed Zeta. I really enjoyed Char's Counterattack. So yeah, I think it was a pretty good selection. And on top of that, there's something called Ultimate Mode. Ultimate Mode is where it combines all these characters from every series pretty much into one collection of storylines that are all made up for this game. Like, and pretty much all the stories are based off of stories in their respective series. Like, there's one that has to do with the Big Zam timeline from 0079, and I think it was pretty good. I liked it. I liked all of them. Because you're allowed to play, in pretty much every one, you're allowed to pick whichever mobile suit you want, except sometimes you can't because those characters that you choose are like part of the storyline itself, and they're bad guys, and you're supposed to be fighting those certain characters, so you can't pick them for those campaigns. But for pretty much every campaign, you can pick whatever you want. So, yeah. And since we're mainly on the subject of Dynasty Warriors Gundam Reborn, which is the newest title in the franchise, I want to bring up a few points, like a few things I don't like about this game, as much as I did some of the other ones. Something that was really good about the third game that didn't come over to this one, this is the fourth by the way, was the cel-shaded look. It was pretty good, because it really caught the whole feeling of that this is an anime, it's from an anime, and it makes it really cartoony, but not too cartoony, if you know what I mean. You can think of Borderlands, stuff like that. That's kind of what it looked like. And I really liked it. It looked really good, but they had to take it out so they could put more mobile suits on the screen, so it wouldn't lag as much in this game. But, you know, whatever. The third one, the only problem with the third one was people call it boxes and corridors because it's not really as open as all 3 of the other games are. So that one kind of sucked for that. But at least those ones still had English voice acting options. The fourth one, doesn't have English. It only has Japanese. That's why you're hearing Japanese but seeing English. All three of the other games were fully voiced in English and Japanese. You could choose whichever one you wanted. I usually just went with English because I didn't have to read the text boxes while I'm playing, because it's a little hard to read and play at the same time, but you eventually get the hang of it. But still, it can be a little bit of a nuisance. But another thing I didn't really like about this one as much was that it's a lot less strongly based around every suit. Like, not as much hard work was put into each and every suit, because they put so many suits in this game. So it's kind of hard to appreciate some suits because they're awful compared to other ones. And it's not like the full boost franchise where it's about costs and stuff. It's like, no, in this game you just have one life, whatever suit you choose, whatever pilot you choose, and that if you die, that's it, you lose. So there's not really much of a reason you'd want to pick a crappy suit. Like, one of my favorite suits, he's my favorite character, from Seed at least, Clotho Boer and his Raider Gundam. I love that thing so much from Seed. I don't know, call me crazy, but I just like that character a lot. Call me crazy because I'm crazy like him, I guess you could say. But I really like that suit, and I saw that it was going to be in this game, and I was like, oh my goodness, they're finally introducing him into the series. That's going to be so awesome. It's going to be so fun to play as him. I cannot wait. And then eventually I actually got to play as him because I unlocked him and so on. And he didn't really have a full moveset like the Strike Freedom does. That's the one we're watching right now. But the Raider didn't have a full moveset. And it's like, why? Why would you not have a full moveset? Kinda sucks. Like, come on, don't be lazy. Just get the game going. Because the moves he had were good, of course. He could transform like he does in the TV show, but he just doesn't have a full moveset, and I do not like that at all. So I want like the fifth one to be more like the first three, while also attempting to keep as many suits as they have in the game. Like, I think all the suits that have a full moveset should stay the same for the next game. And then they shouldn't really even add very many new suits in the next game. Just, like, finish all the other suits. Like, even the grunt suits, give them a full moveset, but make them weaker, I guess. Just make weaker moves. Because that makes sense for a grunt suit. It's not... When you're in a grunt suit, you don't have less stuff, like less things you can do necessarily. Just you're not as good as Gundam would be. And, yeah, I think they should be doing that. Out of the entire series, though, if I had to pick a favorite, it'd probably be either 2 or 3. Because 3 had the cel-shaded look, and it was the first game that I had in this series. And 2 was the last game I bought, I believe. Actually, no. Reborn was the last game I bought. I bought them in order of 3, 1, 2, Reborn. Because I remember I got all of them before Reborn, because I was like, oh my goodness, Reborn. I still haven't even played these other ones. So I decided to get them and play them. But anyways, 3 and 2 are 2 of my favorites out of the entire franchise, because they're just so good. Like 2 is really open and stuff like that. 3 had some really good characters, like it introduced 00, it had the cel-shaded look, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's incredible. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. But number 2 had the really open maps. I really love that. That's the one that introduced Seed. That didn't really matter because I already had 3 at that point. But yeah, it's kind of a tie between the 2. But I love both of them. And 1, it was the first game in the franchise. You can't really expect it to be incredible. Though it was pretty good. The levels in that one were a heck of a lot longer than they are now. Like, it's ridiculous how long those levels were. I remember, like, first playing, and the level took me, like, roughly 20 minutes to beat. And I was like, oh my god. I've never had a level this long. Because I came from 3 to 1. And 1 is so long, and 3 is so short. and this one's kind of a mix. But yeah, I just love the franchise as a whole. This isn't a review, clearly, but it's just my thoughts. So with all that said, this is Gundam HQ, signing off.